Foreign Minister Jaishankar actually, very gently told the Israelis that, the thing about collateral, civilian casualties was a very, very big concern.
And not to mention that India has also repeatedly said we are committed to the two-state solution and to Palestinian statehood, despite Netanyahu saying 100 times that we reject the Palestinian state.
Right. But I mean, frankly, there cannot be another solution to the Palestinian issue, because if you're even looking at something like, as Aditya mentioned, the IMEC, the India Middle East Economic Corridor, one of the fundamental things for that has to be Saudi Arabia shaking hands with Israel. And that the Saudis
that nearly happened.
It nearly happened.
It's on ice
so close
now,
to that.
thanks to this war.
And when the attack happened on the 7th of October, we were all in a discussion, Aditya, Kartikeya and me, and the first thing I said, oh my God, this comes just when IMEC is almost inked. And it came right in the middle of that. And, Neha, there cannot be a solution to the IMEC if the two-state solution is not implemented by Israel. And that is a precondition that the Arabs have made for, normalizing ties with Israel, that you need to have that two-state solution. And sooner or later, Netanyahu will have to come around to the policy that...
Can I just mention this here? Because I've done a series of shows on the Israel-Hamas war. It is abundantly clear to everyone, Sandeep, that except for Israel, the entire world believes that the two-state solution is the only solution, so much so that that Israel's staunchest ally, the United States, is on record as having said, and I'm not just talking about White House spokespersons, I'm not just talking about Antony Blinken, no less than President Biden himself has conveyed this personally to Netanyahu and said so publicly, that Palestinian statehood is the only solution and way forward, and that is in fact emerged as a huge area of divergence in this war between the two allies.
So, in a manner of speaking, the war that changed the world, it's not just the Russia-Ukraine war, it's equally the Israel-Hamas war as well, because I mean these are, and what we forget is when we made these sweeping statements, if you remember, Neha, Aditya, Justin, many years back, people said that, wars of the future are going to be very short, sharp and swift and decisive, little realizing the fact that wars are done for a political purpose. And as long as that political purpose is not achieved, the fighting will go on. And that clearly seems to be the lesson from these three wars that we're seeing running on parallel. But Justin, quick take on the war now in Russia and Ukraine. Year 3, will there be a year 4, or do you see Vladimir Putin agreeing to a peace deal now, as you said, that he's happy with what he has, the Russian-speaking territories of Ukraine, and let's talk peace.
And if I could just add to that, what is his end game? Of course, he wants to make sure that NATO is not in his backyard. I think that's what started the war. But what is his end game?
So I think the interesting part would be here to listen to what Trump had recently said. And he has said recently, I mean, he's been on record saying that anybody who's not paying for NATO is, can be, targeted by Putin. So I think it's very clear to him that as long as they don't interfere on his backyard or the sphere of influence that the Russia or the imperial Russia had, he's okay with everyone ready to go, because he was earlier. So out here right now, the time is on his side. So he has the territory that he required. So it is now the move that Zelensky has to make, which will decide how this war will end. Because for him, he is comfortable right now.
He's comfortable right now. It's very telling words there. He's comfortable because, as we were discussing earlier, that President Putin has grabbed territory the size of Tamil Nadu from Ukraine. I mean, that's how massive that territory is. And Ukraine, in all its counteroffensives, has only managed to take back territory the size of Sikkim. So that's the kind of imbalance that you're looking at. And now that territory that Russia controls is being protected by the Russian Federation and all its nuclear weapons, which is why you now see President Putin flying around in nuclear-capable bombers, that he's, signaling to the rest of the world, listen, this is stage 3, or, this is what's coming next if you don't talk peace now. Get Zelensky to sit down with me.
Yes. So Zelensky has to make the next move. Americans are divided, and it could be further divided if the Republicans come in. Europeans are anyways worried about what America is going to do if Trump comes in. So everyone is divided except probably India, who had already foreseen what the situation would like to be, and they had already aligned are in India's interest as per what requirement was. Like for example, the oil, you are refining the oil and giving to the Europeans who are happily taking it. And also for the fact that West Asian countries had hiked up oil prices and selling it to Europeans, and Indians had nowhere to go again. So our interest came into play there, which was very much aligned to what the situation is right now. So India is comfortable, India is in a safe place, and I guess that's the example that the world needs to follow.
Can I just add one point
Absolutely.
there? You know, it's very interesting. I have noticed, Sandeep, how the entire world is very keenly watching the US presidential election, because the outcome is going to impact each of these issues and wars that we've just discussed. You know, talking about Russia, Ukraine, if Trump is back in power, I think it's a lot of trouble for Zelensky. Interestingly, the far-right minister in Netanyahu's cabinet, Ben-Gvir, is on record as saying we would have been better off if Trump was the president right now, despite all the support that they've got from the Biden administration, clearly not leaving Biden amused. So much so that when I was doing a show on the recent Pakistan elections the other day, a Pakistani guest told me that if Trump comes back to power in the US, Imran Khan, the former prime minister who's behind bars, his troubles will be over.
Oh, right.
Yes, so it's going to be a very interesting and important election in the US.
Absolutely, and in fact, you know, some time back I remember reading this thing, Neha, about how this writer made this pitch that the rest of the world ought to have a say in who the president of the United States is.
Because it impacts everyone.
Yeah, it impacts everyone. It impacts every
We should get a vote, perhaps.
We should, countries should be able to vote, you know, who they want.
Especially Indians.
Yeah, especially Indians, given the large diaspora that we have over there. But, you know, the other interesting underlying theme of all these wars that we are talking about, these three parallel wars that we've been talking about, is the intelligence failure. 4 wars and 3 intelligence failures just tells you that from 9/11 it's just downhill. You know, every war being preceded by the main thing is that your inability to read your opponent's mind, the fact that his, you know, fighting will and underestimating his capacity to fight you. I think that's the underlying theme of this. But there will be many more such discussions at the global summit. Of course, Aditya has the lion's share. He's going to talk to Foreign Minister Jaishankar, and he's got the session on war. Now is not the era for war, but I'd like to thank all of you for this discussion this evening on the run-up, the countdown that we have to the News9 Global Summit. Thanks very much, Neha, Aditya and Justin. Keep watching us for the News9 Global Summit. Season 2 of Dialogue with Barun Das has just been uploaded on the News9 Plus app. We leave you with this glimpse of this cerebral conversation. Watch Barun Das and Jeev Milkha Singh discuss life, golf and parenting in a heart-to-heart conversation. Download and watch the entire series. Thank you for watching.
By chance, I went to the golf course with my father. He started playing. I started playing, had good company, started got involved.
He was an amateur golfer.
He just played for fun.
He was a legend. You need to match up to him. But you had that pressure too, but you turned it on its head.
My dad was this person who was very firm. Dinner, everybody 8 o'clock in the evening on the dinner table. I gave him the prize money. I said, thank you, Dad, for what you've done for me in my life. He says, son, would you like a drink? So, ek piya, do piye. Jab maine third drink dala, so he used to look at my mother and says, Mama, he sportsman hai. Third drink pi raha hai. Kehte sportsman do se zyada nahi peete.
Oh, what was your experience when you were teeing off with Tiger Woods?
Tiger was the hottest player, and I said, Tiger, don't be nervous today because there are going to be a lot of Indians following me. So we tee off. On the first hole, as we're walking up, and he says, Jeev, I see a lot of white Indians following us today.